Welcome to the 30th,
30th.
30th episode. It's a hard word to say because our first time getting here to the 30th episode of Vital Questions. As always, I'm Che Guerrero with
La
that
Cohost.
co-host. Man, we got an episode for y'all this week.
We got an episode that's been a couple days in the making, surprisingly.
This happened a week ago, and you're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, y'all behind?" No.
We've been gathering info.
This was important. This was important. Of course, if you've already read the title, you know it's called
Why you should care, or why should you care about Turning Point's AmericaFest?
That's right, Kirkchella, as some people are calling it.
Yeah.
It was the right trying to realign itself after the death of Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. I think at this point, a lot of people have seen a good amount of content, a bunch of which we'll go through today. But I think in addition to kind of making fun of the different viral moments that happen, our goal is to also bring light and remind everyone of the very real machine that exists behind this organization and this event, because we think it's, from what we've seen, everyone's rightfully so focusing on the ridiculous moments, the, celebrities that sold their soul, the infighting, the what the hell is even happening, the Freudian slips that kind of happened a
Yeah.
couple of times. But there's a real danger to this organization that still exists.
Mhm.
And yes, they were very much intentionally trying to honor Charlie Kirk's memory because he founded this organization, Turning Point. But I don't want people to lose sight of the danger that exists just because there were a bunch of funny moments that came out of it.
Yeah. Because a lot of people don't realize, to quantify. Somebody said it very beautifully on the internet. They were like, essentially, Turning Point is a mega church for colleges.
Mm-hmm.
This is where they hide their ideologies and everything. This is a mega church
Right.
that is allowed to go to colleges and
high schools.
and high schools.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. So, yeah, just starting off, really, like, what the hell is Turning Point? So, looking at a quick C-SPAN description, it provides that Turning Point or Turning Point USA is an American far-right nonprofit organization that advocates for conservative values on high school, college, and university campuses. So Turning Point, as we kind of talked about already, was co-founded and made famous by Charlie Kirk. People generally know this as an organization where people go to high schools and college campuses to debate young people on basic human rights issues.
Mhm.
I don't know how else to really describe it. I was trying to kind of summarize what they debate on, but it's just basic. Hey, should women vote? Should abortion rights exist?
Mhm.
Do men deserve to like run the household?
Mhm.
Do like all just
Yeah, it was also somebody did a really good point that it was 30-year-old men and women, some women,
Yeah.
going to high schools and colleges and trying to debate kids who are,
still learning
and don't have because these people are not good debaters, but what they have is they have the tools to overwhelm
Right.
the person they're talking to by throwing 6, 7 different disingenuous examples and then have the kid get flustered.
Right.
So that's what Turning Point is.
Yeah, and it feeds their ego in a malicious way, and
Yeah.
they think they proved a point, but no, you're just arguing with someone who's significantly younger than you, significantly less experienced, maybe doesn't understand human nature in the same way
Mhm.
that you do, or human interactions,
Mhm.
and maybe doesn't have the same life skills that you do. So for whatever X or Y reason you think, and it gives you some kind of validation to one up a kid.
Yeah.
I have no interest in arguing with a college kid at this point in my life. I'm in my 30s.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
And not to bring this up too much, but something that the right is really, really good at understanding is how to groom
Mm-hmm.
in many ways. They
That's why we need sound effects.
They understand that you need to get a child young.
Yeah.
And once you trap a child into a mentality, didn't we see this when you were driving? You were like, it's easier to raise good children than to fix broken men.
Crap, I forgot
It's
what
like
it
on
was.
a throw pillow. You could look it up.
It was-
but it got us though. It was
Yeah.
like very poignant.
Yeah, it was something like it's easier to. It was something about like giving your kid structure and values and principles early on in life and developing them in as proper of a way as possible, versus trying to have them unlearn things as an adult and
Exactly.
teach them the quote unquote right thing
Exactly.
later on. So yeah.
So the right knows that if you teach the kid the wrong thing in the beginning, that,
Right.
you know, black people are inferior and that women deserve no rights and these kinds of things,
Right.
then it's much harder for them to grow up and think, wait a minute, maybe black people are equal and white women do deserve rights. All women, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and you can see it even just in a lot of people that tend to be conservative, tend to have grown up in smaller towns or in very secluded kind of environments where if you grew up privileged, you only grew up around privilege, right? Or if you grew up in a little town in the middle of America, maybe your entire life and your family's been there, you know. So obviously, I'm generalizing. Don't even I don't even want to hear anyone being like, "That's not me," whatever. But generally speaking, yeah, you don't have exposure to different diversity or different people to teach you other things. You're
Yeah.
stuck in the similar kind of mindset in the same way that Turning Point tries to do to the people that it speaks to.
Mm-hmm.
So what's scary is, and I'm not sure that people realize this, that I think when we see these events online, we think they're this one-off thing, but Turning Point actually has 900 official college chapters and about 1,200 high school chapters. So these are chapters that are in the school and regularly in communication with these children, or like
Damn.
not children, I guess, because at this point, you know, like
Mm,
in high school,
children.
no, high school children, yes, but also colleges, because colleges get a lot of the attention. But yes, obviously in high school, we're talking about kids. But they are in regular communication with them and are advocating for them to join these events and to attend them. So we can't look at the influence that they're having in these siloed, as if it's just these siloed events. They are established chapters, and apparently they're growing.
This is something, my gosh, if anything, is this episode needs to be like, what can we learn from the right to recreate for good? Because they understand, they're in constant communication with people. They understand that it's not just social media,
Right.
that it's not just being like in people's phone, it's also getting on the ground
It's
and
in
speaking
person.
to them in
In
person.
person, that's what it is. You have to be where
People
people
are very
are.
different in person than they are, you
Exactly.
know.
And the one-on-one thing. I think that, you know, we talk about Mamdani all the time, but that's one of his big things that his campaign was able to do, kind of get this one-on-one exposure with people. And whether it was, you know, reaching out to new media and getting them one-on-one time with a big politician, or the one-on-one, you know, kind of meet and greet that he hosted recently, where he just wanted to meet with a bunch of New Yorkers. That's been working because people want to meet in person, especially in this day and age. So I just do want to highlight the fact that they do have established chapters in these different spaces. So we can't undermine or underestimate the amount of influence that they could potentially have. So that's Turning Point, right? So what is AmericaFest? So just turning to their actual website, Turning Point's website, they host this conference annually to have attendees hear from conservative speakers, network with other conservatives, speak with conservative organizations, and supposedly celebrate the US. That's their whole premise. Like, let's come together and celebrate. The overview goes on to say that people can develop their leadership skills, enhance their activism techniques, receive world-class training, who knows in what, because they don't say, and connect with Turning Point opportunities and resources. Reports shared that one of the goals of this year's event, like you mentioned, was to honor Charlie Kirk and his supposed legacy of being a unifying figure within the Republican Party. So as everyone likely remembers, Charlie Kirk was murdered earlier this year. There's no other way to really say it.
He was murdered
on September 10th in Utah at a Turning Point event on campus. So just that time frame kind of becomes important later on. So let's just remember that he was, again, putting everything aside, traumatically murdered. Like, it was just like that wasn't a regular kind of situation, to the point where if you love someone like that, you would think that you wouldn't be able to function as well.
Right.
And that may be affecting a person who really loves someone like that, but just, you know, not making fun of it at all, just acknowledging that it was very traumatic.
Yeah, for the people who it happened to, the rest of us, you know, we dealt with that in our own way.
Yeah. So let's look at their agenda, right? So AmericaFest 2025. Let's look at their agenda really quick. And their agenda is pretty jam-packed, to be honest. It's looks like it's divided by TP USA, so Turning Point USA, and TPA, so it's another division of Turning Point. And I think based on what I saw in the tickets, it looks like it's based on age group.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So I'll get into what that means, but it's jam-packed. We're looking at like every time is accounted for throughout this weekend time frame. They had different types of events. They had everything from Bible study and, of course, a lot of religious ceremonies and all those things, to a couple of musical performances, to a couple of book signings. There was random podcast viewings. There was also live podcast events as well. And as we know, if we look at, we're looking at Sunday, December 21st event, and the last one, if you look down from 10:30 a.m. to 11 a.m., was Erica Kirk and special guest. At this point, we know who that special guest was. So we're obviously going to dive into MAGA Minaj later on.
Damn, this shit was all over by Sunday at 12:30.
But look at this. This is packed. This is crazy.
This is something going on every. Yo, they even got events starting at like 11:34 to 44. Like they're not letting any minute slip by.
So, and that's my point. So we're going to get into the videos. I promise we're going to get into the viral moments. We'll make fun of them. We'll point out the infighting. We'll get into all the dirt and all the stuff that makes us laugh. Cool. But what we need to realize and remember throughout all of this is that this is very well organized. This is an annual event that they put together, and it's very well funded. I know we've seen all the pyrotechnics that have been coming out every time someone walks through those doors. We see how these look like mega church events that we've seen, Hulu documentaries on.
Yeah.
Like, this is very well funded.
I'm not. I don't know how much I can speak about this, so please, like co-host, if there's any point where you'd be like, yo, we need to cut this right now.
Oh, great.
But I'm going to tell you this.
I love when you say things like that.
I have had the privilege of working with a lot of what's considered left organization, progressive organizations that want to see, LGBTQ rights, immigrant rights, undocumented rights, that are trying to prevent what's happening today. And I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of people that I know are struggling for funding, are struggling to even put on events to try and get creators who want to push things forward in a progressive way to come out together to be able to meet each other.
Yeah.
Other years have been a lot easier.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you right now, I don't know what's going on, but our side, no funding or impossible to get funding. And here's Turning Point USA on a 3-day weekend, probably not even breaking a percentage of their bank to get mad speakers, mad events, a giant hall, pyrotechnics, televisions everywhere. Guys, I know that sometimes you may judge a leftist for joining a group or getting a grant that helps him be able to give you the stories for a year. But you should be thankful that person is trying to do that and not take your money.
Right.
Because this side over here, not only are they selling you supplements, but they're also getting very well funded by dark money.
Yeah. And I think to hopefully bring some light to your question is, I think in the past there used to be more corporate sponsors, right? Because realistically, unfortunately, that's where a lot of the money lies, with corporations.
Yes.
And corporate sponsors used to want to support nonprofit, or I guess
kind of both sides.
Yeah, exactly. But left-leaning organizations more often because it fit into a DEI narrative. It helped them look good.
There was tax incentives for it.
There was tax incentives, right? There was federal kind of incentives just across the board for it, all of that. Now, given the administration that we have, which is just outright attacking anyone that's supportive of pretty much any minority group, anyone that's not a white guy at this point, right? Because white women, that includes you. You are technically also a minority by being a woman. So now with this administration, there is this stigma behind supporting any of those kinds of causes. So now you're seeing the corporate money disappear, which should also tell a lot of people where corporations actually stand on these issues.
Yes.
So if and when, hopefully, God willing, if the pendulum swings and there's some level of, I don't know, homeostasis back in this play, and people start having a regular life and start recognizing, oh, where were you at when everything was hitting the fan? Corporation, brand that I've been supporting forever, or celebrity that has turned their back on the entire everything, which we'll get to later on.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's why it's important to call them out now, because ideally at some point it's either things are going to shift or we're going full dictatorship, right? So like one of the two is going to happen.
You were starting to make me realize that's right. Corporate money is leaving progressive spaces. A great example is Mark Zuckerberg pulling his funding for lawyers, for immigration and people who need legal services. He pulled his funding for that. So that's another way where these corporations are now funding more right-wing organizations than they are funding progressive organizations.
Correct.
At least this used to be something they used to hide behind. Now they don't even want to do that because it's considered supporting DEI programs.
Exactly.
Even that is considered.
Yeah.
So that's where our side is losing funding tremendously. You may not want to take Mark Zuckerberg's money, but Mark Zuckerberg's money was helping some people get out of court and immigration and jail and all that stuff.
Right, exactly.
And now it's gone.
And these are the things that people need to keep an eye out on because, like you said, again, I promise we're going to get into the fun stuff. But in the meantime, let's talk about some of those donors that give to Turning Point. So looking at a Fox Business news article entitled Business-Related Organizations Financially Supported Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA for Years. This is dated September 17, 2025. So just looking through the article provides that per a Turning Point spokesperson, the group received over 37,000 inquiries from people wanting to start new campus chapters, as it currently has 900 official college chapters and about 1,200 high school chapters. So think about it. Again, these are established chapters in these various institutions, regularly spewing out conservative rhetoric to young, impressionable voters and future voters, right? Like these are the people that we're talking about.
How are they allowed to operate in high schools?
How
are they allowed to operate in high schools?
I'm assuming that it has to be like it's a club, like a high school club. It has to be presented that way. It has to be that. And again, these are, first of all, I don't know of any high school in, I don't know, New York, for example, that has a Turning Point.
I grew up with the DARE program. I thought you had to be like a government agency to come in and do a program at the school.
My guess is before this administration, especially, there were different regulations at play in terms of who can do what. And with the dismantling of the Department of Education and what that means, like we talked about in the last episode, that is very indicative of what people can now start doing in schools. Because you don't have the Department of Education as a watchdog to ensure that schools are abiding by civil rights protections, right? Yes. So now it's fair, it's total fair game, even for them. I mean, to address how they were functioning before, I'm not entirely sure. But especially this year, it's open season on schools.
This is why the second thing to come out of Nazi Germany, people ought to remember, and I mean, one of the major things, not the second thing, but one of the major things is the Nazi youth.
Right.
The Nazi haircut, the fact that they had kids in schools pretty much learning the oath of the Nazis from the second they learned. This is sick.
Well, what most people don't realize is the youth drive everything. And companies know that. That's why a lot of companies tend to brand towards younger people. People understand that the youth are going to be the next generation of whoever is dealing with the world. So when you target them and you start early and you create a pipeline to certain ideologies, we're getting into very dangerous spaces. So let's continue on this article and talk about some of the wealthy funders. Continuing on the same Fox Business article, the first funder is the Bradley Impact Fund, which donated $8.1 million to Turning Point USA in 2003. Or, for example, the Marcus Foundation, which was established by the co-founder of Home Depot, Bernie Marcus. The foundation donated $2.3 million to Turning Point USA in 2023. Surprise, surprise to no one.
The Home Depot, man, the people at Home Depot have been fooling Latinos like they are friends forever. Oh my gosh. Joe, Home Depot pulled a fast one over Latinos thinking they're friends with us.
There's a reason why follow the money is a phrase. And the phrases exist for a reason. So just keep that in mind. When you follow the money and where it's going and where it's coming from, it's very telling on who supports actually what. Don't let the marketing fool you. Where is the money going?
Latinos every weekend at Home Depot buying from them to build homes around this country for their own personal stuff.
And Home Depot is going to market to you. Home Depot will tell you Feliz Navidad y Feliz Nochebuena.
Solamente en el Home Depot.
Claro, todo lo que tú quieras, because all they care about is your money.
Commercials in Spanish.
Yeah, of course.
And then giving Turning Point and the Trump administration and letting your ass get snatched up in the parking lot and not saying a word.
To clarify, again, the lawyer hat on, technically this isn't Home Depot. This organization isn't Home Depot. It's
one of the founders.
One of the co-founders.
But again, the people.
But again, technically, that's a good estimated. That's a good educated guess. That,
yes.
There's an affiliation there. It's good. And the other one we'll touch on is the Dunn Foundation, which was founded by a motivational speaker, William Dunn. I don't know. I never heard of this man. I just figured I'd bring it up just in case. All right, cool. Anyways, he donated, or the Dunn Foundation donated over $1 million to Turning Point in 2023. So again, we're in the millions here. Like, this isn't the Zoran, the AOCs, that it's a couple. Oh, I'm getting 20 here, and that's how they're able. It's just that they got so much funding from so many people. That's how they were able to get funding. But these people have one foundation giving them $8.1 million over here, and yeah, that's a lot of money to use for a lot of damage.
Dude, there is never money for good. There is always money for evil. These people are here like, you can't tax us. I need all this money. Meanwhile, they're dropping 2, 3, 4, 5 million on a brainwashing organization that's going around to high schools and colleges brainwashing children.
Yeah.
But they can't pay their employees more, though.
And again, that's why you follow the money. So pivoting from their donors, let's just going back to, the danger of them being an organization that targets young people, right? Very intentionally so. And I know you asked, like, oh, how young are we actually talking about here? So if we look at their registration for AmFest 2026, actually, there's kids as young as 13 years old that are encouraged to apply. There's a section here that we're just looking at under select your registration for 15 and under general admission. This is for attendees that are 13 to 15 years old. Access to all general programming, breakouts, media row, and sponsor hall. Minor registrations 15 and under will have additional terms and blah, blah, blah. But this is how young we're talking about here.
Yo, I'm sorry, but for me, it's red flags and antennas going up anytime these Republicans
are close to kids,
are putting anything on for children. Why are y'all so eager all the time to get into children's medium, children's work,
into children's space?
Children's space.
Yeah.
Yo, my God.
Yeah, this is not great timing considering the Epstein redacted files that came out, because those were not the Epstein files that came out, y'all. That was just a bunch of red lines. I mean,
black lines.
Black lines.
The Epstein black lines.
Black Sharpie lines, apparently.
They would have done better job. That way people are going to copy paste and remove the black ink.
Exactly. So yeah. So again, the problem is that they're targeting really young kids, and they're starting the grooming process, the pipeline process, whatever you want to call it, at a very young age. And I think we talked about this. I forget if you mentioned it already, but Democrats don't really have a counter movement to this. AOC and Bernie had some momentum earlier this year with the Fighting the Oligarchy tour, but that didn't have anywhere near the same kind of established, again, keyword established reach that Turning Point is having, unfortunately. So while, yes, looking at this NPR article, the Fight the Oligarchy rallies did have more attendees than AmericaFest's attendees for the entire weekend, as we see here from this NPR article entitled, Bernie Sanders warns of extraordinary danger facing U.S. under Trump at LA rally. This is dated April 13, 2025. Under the picture there, we see there were 36,000 people at this one Fight the Oligarchy rally in LA, right? Compare that to AmericaFest's 31,000 attendees from the entire weekend, from this past weekend. As we see from this Fox News article entitled David Marcus, Why AmericaFest and Phoenix Are Perfect Models for a Midterm Convention, dated December 23rd, 2025. So the article goes on to confirm that there were 31,000 people that attended the entire weekend. So again, just in one Bernie AOC rally in LA had 36,000 people.
Yeah.
And the entire weekend, these people were only able to get 31,000.
Yes.
Right. So yes, it's not necessarily apples to apples in terms of the environment, the attendees, all that stuff. But with the amount of money that Turning Point has behind it and the amount of appeal, right? It's like all these lights and famous people and blah and grandeur and all this crap. And I'm sure they're giving away so much stuff. Here's a free Bible. I don't know, whatever. They still were only able to get 31,000 kids or, young adults at most. So there is, I think, support for left-leaning from the public. But to your point, in terms of translating that into money, and in terms of the people that tend to fall on each side of the aisle and what those people tend to do for a living, that's where you're getting the issue, unfortunately.
And also the right really knows how to manipulate social media with all these events.
Exactly.
They understand that the grandeur is part of the memeability.
Right.
So, somebody really pointed out something very something very problematic that we try to make fun of these people. We put these memes up and we put these, like, we're going to talk about everything that happens. But at a certain point, for younger people who don't understand how politics works, these jokes may land with these people as sort of like, oh, they must be funny or they must
Mhm.
be goofy or they must not be that bad if people are just making fun of them and not
Right.
doing something about it.
Yeah.
So it becomes, the more we kind of make fun
Laugh
of
about it,
them,
yeah.
the more it actually makes it easier for people. Like the fact that
Yeah.
kids see Trump merchandise everywhere
Yeah.
from both sides,
Yeah.
whether it's Trump is on toilet paper
Yeah.
or Trump is on a hat,
Right.
Trump is everywhere. So
Right.
for younger people, it's not that big of a deal.
Even though for us who didn't grow up with that from a US president,
Mhm.
that seems like a dictator.
Yes.
Because why is your face and name everywhere?
Yeah.
That's not a thing.
But it's
But
becoming
not
very normal.
exactly, and things are becoming normalized. So
Mhm.
that's something else to keep in mind, that when you, I know, are getting bombarded with story after story of, oh, here's another mother who was ripped away from her kids. Here's another dad who was running and got tackled. Oh, and he got a rib broken. Oh, well, who cares? It keeps happening. Th- that's the problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what's scary. That's the issue. That's what we need to keep talking about, because this isn't okay, and let's not normalize this. So, yeah, in the same way that I feel like this kind of fits the bill, I don't think it's normal for a lieutenant governor to be giving to an organization like that. I don't know. So, just looking at a Texas Tribune article, Dan Patrick pledges $1 million in campaign funds to install Turning Point USA at every Texas college and high school. This is dated November 7th, 2025. The article continues to explain that Lieutenant Governor of Texas, Dan Patrick, said he was willing to he was committing $1 million from his campaign funds to put Turning Point chapters in every school in Texas. What, like, what,
Why is a lieutenant
why is he allowed to
governor?
use funds, campaign funds for this? I don't understand.
Wait, he's using campaign funds?
Yeah.
What?
Campaign, I looked it up. Coffers is like, it's basically funds from his campaign. And again, I didn't have time to look into like whether this is allowed or if that's normal, but it just feels really nefarious to have a politician injecting funds into a conservative, organization that is installing chapters across the
Well,
US to like, I don't know, it just feels real.
this is all very weird that Turning Point after Charlie Kirk's death has gotten all this funding, even from lieutenant governors and major players, to continue this expansion.
Yeah, I don't understand how this is allowed. Again, I didn't look into it. If you have any insight into how that's allowed, feel free to share in the comments,
Please let us know what
because
is
we're working on
happening.
this
This is
together.
very confusing.
Yeah, it's a little weird, to say the least, but yeah, so I just wanted to highlight that they're also getting monetary support from elected officials. And let's not forget that the Department of Education announced back in September that it was partnering with Turning Point USA and other conservative organizations to launch, quote, America 250 Civics Education Coalition, per this press release from the Department of Education back in September 17, 2025. So according to their marketing materials, Lord, they're aiming to teach, quote, American civics and build back pride in the US.
Mhm.
So looking at a full list of the American 250 Civics Education Coalition website, where they list their partners, this includes PragerU, which I've highlighted here,
Mhm.
PragerU. Now, if you remember the word or the phrase PragerU, it might sound a little familiar because they've been in the news for a while. This is the same right-wing PragerU that has been building out educational curriculum that tries to whitewash American history and teach things like, slavery was a good thing, and they actually liked it.
And Columbus just discovered America, and we shouldn't judge
Yeah.
somebody because of their times.
He was just hanging out. He was just chilling. And yeah, and women deserve to be in the kitchen only, and men are the, founding whatever crap. And yeah, so that's PragerU. And on top of that, this is all coming at the same time as Florida begins adopting some of the right-wing school curriculum from the Heritage Foundation. Looking at this Fox 35 Orlando News article entitled Florida First in US to Adopt Heritage Foundation American Vision for Schools. This is dated November 14, 2025. Continuing on in the article, it explains that the Florida State Board of Ed or Education voted unanimously to adopt the Phoenix Declaration, an American vision for education. The Phoenix Declaration is 7 guiding principles created by the Heritage Foundation. Continuing on in the article, it explains that the Florida State Board of Ed or Education voted unanimously to adopt the Phoenix Declaration, an American vision for education. The Phoenix Declaration is 7 guiding principles created by the Heritage Foundation. We have some of them listed here, but I highlighted the following two because for me, they particularly stuck out. The first one is truth and goodness, which means students deserve an education grounded in objective truth, free from ideological fads, and oriented towards the pursuit of the good. What do we think they mean by ideological fads? Human rights? Is that what we think,
Oh
right?
my god.
That's
Oh
what it is,
my
right?
god. Oh my god. This is horrible. This is the worst episode you ever presented to me like a host.
Well, we're going out with a bang.
This is actually
it's terrifying.
This is before we get into the second one, this is a perfect episode to kind of leave the year off with because we hadn't really been focusing on what's happening inside the schools since, yes, we know the Department of Education has pretty much, thrown their hands in the air and wave them like they just don't care. But they're pretty much like, not going after civil rights and violations and all this stuff. Turning Point and the Heritage Foundation and PragerU are doing the nefarious things of changing the textbooks. And I hadn't been seeing that.
They're deleting history across the board. Yeah.
They hate Black history so much, they created these whole goddamn organizations to destroy public education in such a vicious way because kids in their mind, too many white kids grew up to say maybe we should all have equality. I mean, they don't care that we've been yelling about equality forever because they don't listen to us. But when their children start to realize, oh, maybe being white does come with privileges, and maybe it does create a system that hurts others, they're like, why is our white kids being ruined this way?
That's literally all it is. It's just acknowledging that there's we won't get into it later.
Let's get into it next because this is all they hate. This is what they hate.
Yeah, so going back to this Phoenix Declaration crap. So another one is cultural transmission. So this is where students should learn about America's founding principles and roots in the broader Western Judeo-Christian traditions. Students should study the best competing viewpoints that comprise our intellectual heritage. What do we think that is? That Jesus founded us? That Jesus founded America?
No, that white people founded America.
That Jesus and white people and all of them.
Jesus in Washington sat down at a table and was like, America. Jesus was like, you
Christian traditions. We're talking about in public schools in Florida. We're gonna be talking about Christian traditions.
Christian traditions.
Listen,
Christian traditions.
I know some Christian traditions. They're wonderful. They don't need to be in U.S. public schools because again, separation of church and state, which has gone out the window. Completely just out the window.
It's gone. I think this also, the education system that's being drastically changed, I think might be the first moment where people will get a packet of schoolwork for their children's homework for the first time and realize, what is this?
Yeah, like what is happening?
What is happening?
Yeah.
That's the moment you're going to realize you've been asleep at the wheel.
Yeah, hopefully something wakes them up because I don't know. But yeah, they're already laying down the groundwork to regularly introduce religion and conservative ideologies throughout their school systems, right? So there was no time frame yet in terms of when this is going to be implemented. I admittedly didn't have the time to look into at what level, but I have a feeling this is going to go into elementary school as well. This is the State Board of Education that voted on this. This is not, now we're not talking about Turning Point just at high school and college. We're talking about changes in the elementary school level when kids are the most impressionable and they're hearing certain things from their teachers. Teachers are understood to be telling the truth. You're teaching me everything. Everything that comes out of your mouth is the truth. There is a duty that everyone holds to kids in the education system. Like what are we talking about? Like what is happening?
Honestly, wow, now you say that. I don't know how many maybe growing up, because I grew up in the public school system with a lot of white teachers who were probably, I would say they had biases towards them whatsoever. I wonder if any of them actually did get a kick out of kicking me. You know what I mean? Out of making me feel like, no, you shouldn't feel smarter than, I told you, like, teachers used to call me stupid. How much of that was really like, oh, this is a bright kid and I need to knock him down a peg. Do you know what I mean? Like how many, because a lot of white teachers do hold biases. I wonder how many of them really do like being able to instill in a black or a brown mind that they are inferior, even though they're not.
Right.
But able to instill in that someone so young that they know they'll have a hard time coming out of it.
Well, imagine that same teacher now teaching you or someone,
and now they have the right to.
Right, like a kid like you. Oh yeah, no, if there are no biases in the world, everything that those microaggressions that you're experiencing every single moment of your life, no, they don't exist. That's in your head.
Poor kids.
They're like, you're completely warping the reality of everyone in these school systems. And now all these people are
These
gonna
poor black and brown kids, man, going to
yeah, they're
school
all gonna
now.
live in a different reality and think and be made to feel like they are less than and internalize that and then go on to be adults that have those mentalities and do God knows what. This is what we're talking about. So just figured I wanted to, give everyone a dose of reality before we dive into the clips because a lot of the clips are ridiculous. They are extra. They are what's even happening, right? And yes, they deserve the attention that they've been getting because it is fun to make fun of the other side because they are a hot mess in their own way, right? But I do think it's important for us to remember the background, and the environment that we're talking about this organization when we do look at the footage from the event. So let's start with Erica's entrance, which I'm sure at this point most people have seen, but let's recap it. Miss America. I'm gonna pause there.
Jesus Christ.
So there's a reason why I chose there's a bunch of different videos of that moment of her coming out. There's a reason why I chose that because I felt like it was close enough to the stage so you can see the details of the production.
The gold suit, the fireworks.
Yes, the production that is her and the spectacle that is her, but also literally the event.
Yeah.
Right? Like we're not talking a little stage, we're not talking a small. No, we saw the pyrotechnics just from her entrance. We see this, it does feel very like mega churchy.
Yeah.
In its setup, in its grandeur.
Yeah.
And again, a reminder of the money that's behind it. But yes, her sparkly ass pantsuit is ridiculous.
Watching her come out with just that spectacle, the suit, the sparkler, the TVs, the look at the LDC screens behind her, just fully moving. This is something you have to remember about these people. She was in beauty pageants. Okay. All of these people know how to put on a spectacle. The spectacle, we are grander than life is part of it.
Yeah.
And she is a tiny person. Do you understand? Like if you meet him in person, she's a tiny person, but needs all of this grandeur to make herself seem like an angel who has ascended after a tragedy.
Right.
Just remember that.
Yeah. So, and I know that a lot of people have been critiquing the outfit choice and all of that in light of her husband being very violently murdered on, and I don't mean to chuckle. That was not a chuckle at like laughing at it. That was just a chuckle at like
violently murdered.
No, it was a chuckle at like how crazy that moment was.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine if I were to see like my husband do like I wouldn't be functional thereafter. I personally wouldn't. But again, I'm not trying to judge how people mourn. Maybe some people do put on a gold pantsuit and go on a stage and take over their, husband's entire conference and have the ability to do so in a couple months after
couple of months.
Yeah, so let's keep that in mind, right? So let's recap on that. Couple of months. Remember? So he was shot on September 10th. And in that same month, I'm gonna bring her back up. Sparkly, right? Sparkly. In that same month in September, on September 21st, she goes to Memorial in Arizona in his honor. And she says she forgives the shooter. Let's watch.
I forgive him. On the cross, our Savior said, Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do. That man, that young man, I forgive him.
Okay. So just a reminder on the time frame of that, September 10th. And what we just saw was September 21st. You mean to tell me 11 days later, you're like, Jesus has healed my heart and I forgive the man that violently shot my husband in the neck.
Mhm.
Ooh, girl, you a better person than me. That's crazy.
That's
That's
crazy.
crazy,
And like
girl.
people said, and it
Wow.
needs to be restated, and I almost sound like an old, just like, oh, you ain't got nothing original, but she would not have forgiven that man
Mhm.
had he have been black, brown, Indian, Asian, Latino, whatever.
This, yes, but my thing is, this was 11 days.
This still
11 days.
the white, I'm sorry, the white hypocrisy of having your husband murdered by a white man and you be like, I forgive you. And by the way, again, spectacle. Spectacle. I'm not sitting here not moved because I am a heartless person. I'm here not moved because I know the game they're playing. This was a spectacle to try and push a narrative that Charlie Kirk's death has ascended him to a new level and her forgiveness is the Jesus Christ way. That dude was popped by someone who believes in guns and members of his family were Trump supporters.
And those are all facts.
Those are all facts.
Those are all facts. And that's what's crazy, because if we remember when everything happened, the entire US was warned about not mentioning anything bad about Charlie Kirk after he died, right? That is also a fact. And some people lost their jobs. Like we're seeing from this PBS News article that entitled Firings Over Callous Remarks on Kirk's Killing Sparked Debate on Limits of Free Speech, dated September 15, 2025. So, and some people were even called terrorists just for pointing out the things that this man actually said. But a little over a week later, his wife goes and forgives the shooter. Yet we all have to be on pins and needles over this man's own words.
Yeah.
This is all facts as well. Just pointing out the facts, because I'm flabbergasted once I figured out the timing of, I knew she said she forgave the shooter. I wasn't keeping track of the timing of events, but it's extremely hard to believe that you were that affected, that you were able to take on an entire organization where now you're the CEO of said organization that he founded. And now you have all this backing and you're just a couple months thereafter totally fine running an entire event.
It is insane when you put it that way, that so she was willing to forgive the man who murdered her husband in 11, 12 days, but they couldn't forgive people who made comments.
No, not
people who didn't hurt Charlie.
Not only
who said
what he said.
That he said.
Who quoted Charlie.
You can murder Charlie
and his
and
wife
get
is
more
forgive
forgiveness than the person who quoted Charlie's actual words.
Because if not, you might get fired and your life might get ruined.
Again.
But his wife just forgave the shooter.
What is all this?
Exactly. What is all this? And let's not forget the fact that this is the same organization, the same person that keeps preaching the whole trad wife ideology. But now, like I mentioned, she is the CEO of this organization. Something else I want to point out to anyone that has a conservative woman friend in your life who you feel like she's falling into the whole trad wife thing, all these female leaders that are in this conservative space that are trying to preach that crap, they themselves are not living that crap, right? So like in the same way that you wouldn't go to a doctor that they themselves are incredibly unhealthy, let's maybe not follow the words of a career woman that's telling you, hey, you should stay in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand how any of that makes sense to you.
And by the way, I feel like I always have to say, we're not shaming anyone for the choices that they made. Like a woman say, hey, I want to be at home. This is the choice that we made. I feel good with this. That is their choice.
You know what I'd say?
Yes, please. I don't know what you say. Tell me.
The fact that you have a choice is the point.
That's great. Yeah.
Is the point.
Yeah.
We're fighting for you to have a choice.
Yeah.
If that fulfills you and makes you happy, beautiful.
Yeah.
More power to you, as you should.
Yeah.
Go off, sis.
Yeah.
But it's the point that you have the choice. The ability to choose that lifestyle for yourself is the benefit that we're all fighting for.
And just and going to the the way these dudes like on the MAGA try to preach to us that they're holier than thou and they're love their kids and they're protecting the nation. Meanwhile, they're voting for a felon, child molester, rapist and all that stuff. These women on the right also try to sell you this life that they're not following themselves.
Exactly.
They're not trad wives.
They're not. That's what I'm saying. They're not.
They've had careers. They've had plenty of relationships before. They have children before. They just now are playing this character for this fascism that they're a part of.
Exactly. So
remember that.
It's just a caution to be conscious of the words that people say and their actions and how they choose to live their own lives. Because again, as we all know, actions speak louder than words. That's a phrase for a reason. So let's kick it to a different clip from the event. This is Erica saying some more stuff.
We're going to ensure that President Trump has Congress for all 4 years. We are going to get my husband's friend, J.D. Vance, elected for 48 in the most resounding way possible.
Okay. So the plan is to keep Congress for the next 4 years. And I think it's just generally understood. We all know that Trump's approval rate is the worst it's ever been. Republican support, I feel like it's probably the worst it's ever been. It's all going downhill for them. So for her to so confidently preach to the crowd, this is the game plan. We're keeping Congress. I don't know how one keeps Congress with those facts in play unless you do something to affect potential future elections. So that's that's my concern with those comments. What are your concerns? I feel like
you started this whole episode talking about how deep they are in high schools and colleges, how well funded they are, how good they are with the internet. That's why I no doubt that they could win. I hate to say this. I believe that these waves in Democrat states and cities and Republicans losing, these kinds of maybe flipping a few seats does give me hope. But I think that Republicans are too uninformed to keep up with these special elections and these off election cycles. But I think they have the ability to move when it comes to midterms and general election when the president is on. Especially, I'm telling you, for this kind of work that they're doing in high school and colleges with Turning Point, I do not see the same mechanism on the left. And I think the left,
and that's the problem.
And I think the left is 100% just banking on, well, the right is so bad, we are their only choice for them to vote for.
That didn't work last time.
And that's what's scaring me about watching these videos. Is that they are very confident that they can continue this winning streak even with these terrible policies, because either they're scaring people into submission or they're warping people's reality into submission.
And that's also the problem, and I think we've touched this a bunch of times, but that's the problem with being potentially overcritical of people on the left and candidates on the left, right? Because we have to get behind somebody, right? To get this going, to have a shot in hell, there has to be ultimately some unity behind some candidates. Because if not, and if we go into any election candidly divided, then they're not going to be divided in this.
I'm going to say something that I think a lot of people don't want to admit to themselves. I hate the position that Republicans have put me in. Or maybe I hate the position even more than Democrats have put me in. But I hate the fucking position that I'm in. Where one, I am a person with a heart who I do want to be critical of the politicians that are the best choice for me. And at the same time, they are people that I would not hang out with. If we were ever at a party, I would not want to hang out with them. I'm like, I don't like the fact that you're not saying, free Palestine. I don't like, but then you have the other side who now is making just my debate with my own side even a point of weakness. That they can slip in and just win just because I'm having these debates that are from the heart that I genuinely want to have.
But that's exactly what happened.
That is exactly what's happening. That by having these debates, we are losing because they're so good at organizing. Because it's much easier to organize for hate. Hey, I hate that guy. Let's all hate that guy. We all hate that guy.
You don't care about anything else other than
hating that guy. Everything that guy does, we can hate him no matter what.
Exactly. So in a little bit of a lighter clip, let's play this to maybe cheer your spirits up a little bit.
Despite the devastating loss of Charlie Kirk, my incredible husband at UVU, Caleb has persisted with the same gift. Grit. It has been a long day. Trust me, you're not a grifter, honey. It's all good.
Okay, poor kid. Well, maybe not poor kid because you're out there supporting stuff, but whatever.
You're doing the same grift as Charlie Kirk.
So I didn't really know what a grifter was, to be honest. I told you, I don't live in that world, and what those people say, I don't. So I looked up dictionary.com just in case you were like, hey, I don't know what grifter is either. And I felt dumb asking because I'm honest about what I don't know. So it's either a person who operates a sideshow at a circus, fair, etc., especially a gambling attraction, or a swindler, dishonest gambler, or the like. So it's basically anyone that's like screwing people over, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
So as we saw from that clip that I pulled from social media, people are jokingly calling it a Freudian slip.
Yeah.
But it is very telling that that's the word that comes out of your mouth. And yeah, when making the association potentially with your husband, that's who you were talking about. But that's another one that people are like, oh, look at that.
Wow.
Real interesting.
You know what's, man, my mind has just been kind of blown. It's crazy. Sorry.
What happened?
Look, I understood that a lot of our heroes have been killed, and I'm not trying to like bring Charlie Kirk into this bullshit. This is the first time that white people have actually seen that kind of violence happen to someone who runs their mouth the way Charlie does. But what I'm saying is that for the most part of history, people who talk like Charlie Kirk don't have any consequences for their actions. But people who are out there for the most part saying, we should all come together, we should all unite, we should all, feed the children, all this stuff. Those are the people in history who have been killed, Jesus included. I don't think they know what the Bible really talks about, and why Jesus got killed was because he was being kind. So it is just amazing. Like, I'm thinking about like someone like Barry Goldwater. I don't know if you know who he is. Barry Goldwater, actually, Hillary Clinton, she actually worked for Goldwater's campaign at one point. He was a Southern Republican who essentially I think his slogan was segregation now, segregation tomorrow, segregation forever.
Oh, Jesus.
And there was a point where he was like a third party candidate that was getting a lot of traction. He was running at the same time that Nixon was running, and at the same time that before he got killed, Bobby Kennedy. So Goldwater was the third person. And Goldwater got a lot of votes. He could have like kind of knocked the Republican and Democrat out, but essentially he was going out there going like, black people are inferior and saying everything pretty much Trump is saying now. Barry Goldwater never had any fear of his life or whatever, but there's Bobby Kennedy going, we should unite, we should do this, we should do that. Candidates and people in the 60s like Martin Luther King Jr. saying that kind of stuff, getting killed left and right.
Yeah.
And Goldwater got to live his whole life. But I'm just saying, like, most people who talk the way that Kirk does get to live out their whole life. They're using this as such an extreme because this rarely happens to people who talk like he talks.
Right. And that's why it's important to know your history, because if you're wondering why that happens and how is it that in this country people that spew that kind of hatred are able, for the most part, usually to get by and not have to worry about that. That's the basis of the founding of this country, unfortunately. And that's why it's really important to know that and to make sure that we don't go back to resort back to that mentality, because that's unfortunately where we're heading.
So, and they're right about being a grifter. She was right about being a grifter. I'm telling you right now, and you guys, I'm saying this from the heart. I have a lot of progressive thoughts, and I'm broke as hell. If you want to support me, be less broke with my progressive thoughts, please sign up for our Substack. But I'm telling you right now, I always joke around. If I took all this talent that I have and I started degrading my people, I'd make so much money tomorrow.
Yeah.
If I decide to degrade my people, I would make so much money tomorrow.
They're always looking for people to fit stereotypes.
But anybody who's out there actually, again, with progressive and real good views that you want to help the community, you're going to stay broke forever.
Unfortunately. So, on that happy note, let's watch another clip from the event, shall we?
In the United States of America, you don't have to apologize for being white anymore.
As if you ever. As if you ever.
And if you're an Asian, you don't have to talk around your skin color when you're applying for college, because we judge people based on who they are.
You've never had to do that.
On ethnicity and things they can't control. We don't persecute you for being male, for being straight, for being gay, for being anything. The only thing that we demand is that you be a great American patriot. And if you're that, you're very much on our team.
So let's dissect that a little bit. First of all, no one has asked you to apologize for being white. Not once. Not once. What people have asked you to apologize for is for intentionally avoiding recognizing the systems that have been beneficial to your people, first and foremost. To acknowledge the very real history of this country and to acknowledge that Black history and Latino history and all are actually all U.S. history.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually all comprise what we should all be very well aware of. Go ahead.
I get what you're saying, but these mediocre white men need to be fed this bullshit that they don't have to apologize for being white because that's all they have. They don't have health insurance. They don't have good jobs. A lot of these kids are in college. They're not going to find.
Wait, who's the they that you're talking about?
Oh, white, blue collar, like the places that
okay.
like JD Vance comes from, you know,
Yeah.
the hillbillyology or whatever,
Got
the
it.
Rust Belt, you know, you don't have to apologize for being white. That's what was hurting you, was you couldn't just be your fully white self. Whiteness is all these people have to sell you, right? So to him, he's like, hey, listen, you don't have money in your bank account. You don't have any kind of prospect after college. The economy's turning to crap. My Silicon Valley boys are buying off everything, but you guys get to be white again. You get to be these broke, proud white men. So be that. That's all they're giving you. And some people, that's enough. To some stupid people, feeling superior to someone else because of the color of their skin is more important to them than knowing where the heck they're going to get their next meal tomorrow. That's how stupid they are. That's how Turning Point brainwashes children into thinking that being white is more important than being part of a community or being loved or being someone who knows how to love.
Or have enough money for your bills.
Or have enough money for your bills.
Right, because you don't even see how they're taking the money from you. And you're just sitting there being like, oh, but I'm white.
So JD Vance is absolutely right. You can be white again, but you can't be anything else because there's no jobs, there's no college education. But if that's enough for you, you dumb, angry, bitter person that wants to blame all your problems on someone else other than the actually rich person who's talking to you, then you're white again.
And so long as you're a great American patriot, you're fine.
Great American. Oh, by the way, you can't be white and like, and even when he said gay, he kind of really like went fast past that one because they're just letting gays in now because gays vote. But once they can take away gay votes, they don't even need gay people anymore.
But it is very much, it was just interesting that he ended with, so long as you're a great American patriot. Which, what the hell does that mean?
Caveat, Americanism.
That we follow your code and go back to Pledge of Allegiance, and I pledge allegiance to the flag because we all have to memorize that for a reason because it was indoctrination and we didn't realize it.
And I didn't want to bring this up because I don't know if you have him here, but remember, we couldn't talk about Charlie Kirk, but Donald Trump made fun of Rob Reiner. Remember? Trump was happy that Rob Reiner was unalived by his son because he had Trump derangement syndrome. So in JD Vance's mind, someone like Rob Reiner is not a true American. So he couldn't have been proud to be white because he was a white man who didn't like Trump and his ideology. So he doesn't count.
Exactly.
Remember that. He doesn't count.
So as people have also noticed, there was a bunch of infighting at the event. So let's take a look at one of those moments with Ben Shapiro.
So no, Tucker Carlson, it is not an excuse to go silent on Candace's targeting of TPUSA. Or to mirror her bullshit lines of questioning because you love Candace personally.
So that's a short clip because he actually went on a really long rant and I didn't want to hit any like copyright issues or anything like that. But basically before this clip, he talks about how people with a following need to call out other people regardless of their friendships with them. And he goes on to say this, right? So he goes on to criticize Tucker Carlson for not speaking up against Candace Owens for spreading conspiracy theories. Hold on. Let me get to the type of conspiracy theories. So in case you didn't know, Candace Owens is a former employee of Turning Point and has recently been spreading theories that Turning Point was somehow involved with Charlie's death. Candace has also been claiming on her podcast and in interviews that Israeli spies were involved in Kirk's death and that he was betrayed by the people close to him. So go ahead.
No.
That's a conspiracy theory that he's getting called out on.
Listen, it's just interesting that the crew that is notorious for making conspiracy theories about everybody, not based on anything that I have seen produced by anyone. I don't know where they're coming from, but they're really good at this. Now they're mad at each other for creating conspiracy theories about each other.
Because it goes against the plan. You're not supposed to be making conspiracy theories about each other.
Oh.
It's supposed to be about the others, right? That
Oh.
it's the others that help you. That's why, if you remember, we got this kind of tidbit. So I didn't know what she was saying stop to. So at this point, this clip is viral about Erica Kirk saying just stop.
Okay.
But I didn't know that this was actually in response to Candace Owens' activity on her podcast. So let's take a look.
The podcaster Candace Owens, okay? At one time, a friend of Charlie's, at one time, an employee of Turning Point. She has been one of the main peddlers of these conspiracies, and she is making a huge amount of money on it. She is building her business off of these lies. What do you want to say to her and the other people that are putting these lies out into the world right now?
Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.
Yo, I'm so sorry. Her tough face. Because, I went to school with so many like white teachers like that. She's like, stop it. And you're like, okay, white lady, like, really gonna make me stop?
Well, it's more,
you gonna make me stop?
It's either that or it's crazy eyes. It's just, and what I find shocking is that you're angrier at a podcaster who's talking about this than the shooter, who once again you forgave 11 days after the incident happened.
That's why I'm so angry at everyone
I'm so
else.
stuck on that. That's crazy.
Except the person who murdered your husband.
Like, what do you mean? Why are you so angry at everybody else and not the shooter? Like,
everybody can get these hands except the shooter.
Apparently. So yeah, in case you didn't know, that's what that clip was from, because I actually didn't know. And of course, that was with Barry Weiss, that other lady that was on it. And in case you didn't know who Barry Weiss was or what she looks like, she's also been on the news this week because she tried to kill that CCOT 60 Minutes segment.
That's the thing. Barry Weiss was interviewing Erica Kirk, platforming her on CBS one week and then cutting off CCOT stories the next.
Really telling where CBS is going. But
and this is actually going back to that comment by Erica Kirk saying, we will help him keep Congress for the next 4 years and make sure my husband's friend JD Vance, that was also,
you stay hearing stuff. I didn't hear that pause. You made a pause crazy. That pause was not there.
JD Vance. Also, they're feeling confident because not only do they have fringe news organizations like not Fox News, not fringe, but the fringe-ish.
Yeah.
One American News Network or Newsmax. Now they have CBS.
Yeah. Which is a major network. Has always been a staple.
Now they have CBS.
Yeah.
Why don't people Democrats are way too comfortable thinking Republicans are horrible. People have to vote them out.
No.
Hey, man, not if they're brainwashing and warping people into not believing what's in front of them.
Exactly.
I don't know what to tell you, Democrats. Fund me to help me go to colleges. I'm very funny. I have a great hour that teaches kids that the country's fucked through humor and laughter and education. Fund things like that.
Yeah.
Stop spending up. You know what I always said? And I'm sorry to say this, like, I know I'm running on a tangent here. I go, if I could run for Congress or whatever, you know what I do with all the donations that people give me? I would just feed the community.
Yeah.
And I know people would be like, wait, but why wouldn't you use the money for flyers? Or why would I use the money for that? I'm trying to show people, if you give me money, I know how to create programs for people. So while I'm running for Congress, why the heck am I on a tour bus? Let me create community programs for the millions and show you, hey, listen, with this little bit of money you gave me, look at the programs I created. Look at the people I spoke to. Look at the things I listened to.
Yeah.
You give me the job. I do this on a large scale.
But you also need marketing and recording and things for people to...
You have a TikTok team.
Okay.
Yo, what's up?
Which needs money. That's my point to you. This is what
but
you
I'm
need.
saying on a much lower level.
Yeah.
Than what I'm saying, Democrats can do so much with so little if they saw that they actually cared about people.
Exactly.
Turning Point is lying to people, but at least they can play like they care.
Because they're there in person at these different spaces and they're speaking one-on-one to people. That's really what it is. You can't get over that.
It's a masterclass. If you guys ain't watching this, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. So
make fun of them all you want. Make fun of them all you want. They're organized.
Exactly.
All
But
I'm saying.
more infighting, because Ben Shapiro didn't only hate Tucker Carlson because of his relationship with Candace. Let's see who else he hates.
There is a reason that Charlie Kirk despised Nick Fuentes, and indeed even chided Dinesh D'Souza for debating him. He knew that Nick Fuentes is an evil troll, and that building him up is an act of moral imbecility. And that is precisely what Tucker Carlson did. He built Nick Fuentes up. And he ought to take responsibility for that, just as he ought to take responsibility for glazing pornographer and alleged sex trafficker Andrew Tate, or for mainstreaming fake historian and pseudo-Nazi apologist Daryl Cooper as America's best and most honest popular historian. Hosts are indeed responsible for the guests they choose and the questions they ask those guests.
Now, I go back to the fact that Turning Point is a high school and college organization. So you might be thinking to yourself, why the heck is Ben Shapiro talking about Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson? Because this is their bubble.
Yep.
For these kids, there is an internal civil war happening within the Republican Party where it's, are we Ben Shapiro, Donald Trump, right-wing conspiracy theories, or are we Nick Fuentes Groyper?
Can you explain what Groyper is for everybody?
Groyper is it's very confusing. It's essentially Nick Fuentes's like fan base that are very deep in the internet dark web. They believe in transmaxer, which is essentially men who become women just for the fact that they hate women so much that they believe they can be better women and they can show other like groypers how to have the affection of a woman without actually having to be with a woman. These are the kind of people that Nick Fuentes has cultivated throughout his career. He has activated them to go against Turning Point because, again, there is these Republicans are having this internal war of how bad do we want to go?
Or more so, how bad can we go?
Or how bad can we go? Ben Shapiro wants, I don't know what Ben Shapiro wants, but it's actually, I know that Ben Shapiro is a Zionist. And I know that Ben Shapiro, at the end of the day, wants to keep Jewish people safe. And he's trying to keep at bay the more anti-Semitic, they want gas chamber side of the alley to calm down. Nick Fuentes wants gas chambers. He wants death of immigrants. He doesn't want Trump to just be putting people in detention center. He wants extinction, right? And Ben Shapiro is like, stop platforming the worst of us. Ben, I'm sorry to tell you this, dude, but the leopards are going to eat your face. And if you're going on Turning Point thinking that you can tone down the flames that you help create, this is where you are going to be scarred at the end, getting eaten by the hyenas. Okay? That's what's going to happen. And if people on the right think they can control this, they can't. Which is why people on the left need to really buck up and be like, how are we going to stop this? Because they're getting worse.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand. I don't get what's the long-term plan here? Who is everyone rallying behind?
I'm rallying behind not the worst. I'm rallying like, behind not gas chambers.
That's what we have to do. That's what we've gotten to. And unfortunately, because we don't rally behind people collectively, and yes, agree, there's been issues with different candidates. But again, if you have an issue with it, then you run. And if you're not running, then go out there and support a candidate.
Vote for a primary. Exactly. Vote for somebody who in the primary that you love, that you like, that you can at least get behind.
Yeah, where like, yes, you're not going to be able to get everything under the sun. The odds of you finding a candidate that fulfills every single one of your needs is probably slim to none. But for someone to hit mostly everything, I feel like that's a better shot. But who knows? So that all happened, right? Ben Shapiro's going off. He's pissed at everyone. And then Tucker Carlson takes the stage. So let's hear what old Tucky has to say. I just made up that name.
Old Tucky.
Walking out is always such a trip at these things. I just got here and I feel like I missed the first part of the program. I hope I didn't miss anything meaningful. But I just want to say, I don't think I did. No, I'm just kidding. I watched it. I laughed. That kind of bitter, sardonic laugh that emerges from you when like Upside Down World arrives. When your dog starts doing your taxes and you're like, wait, it's not supposed to work this way. To hear calls for like deplatforming and denouncing people at a Charlie Kirk event, I'm like, what? This is hilarious.
Yeah.
He's nervous.
He's very nervous. So he goes on in the speech to talk more about how antithetical it is to Charlie's legacy to call for someone to be deplatformed over a difference of opinion, especially because Charlie always allegedly advocated for a debate. But I don't think I think we all agree that Charlie Kirk was never actually advocating for real debate. It was just, you're just trying to brainwash kids. Like, you're just out there for that.
Trying to be racist.
But yeah, it was funny to see the back and forth and the response and having to ad lib in the moment and just being like, well, it's totally fine. Like, we're here for Charlie. So just remember that.
Yeah, he's a horrible improviser. And the problem is that okay, you talk about like layers to this, right? Tucker Carlson was someone who thought he could play both sides. That he thought he could be either the more, let's be more towards like we need someone like Trump, but also let's give space to some radicals like Nick Fuentes, and I can control them both and I can pin them against each other.
Right.
And again, they're in power now, so it's a civil war of which ideology is going to go forward. And Tucker Carlson's like, I'm just a messenger. And he's just like, no, people hate you.
You're in it. Yeah, I know.
People hate you.
You're in it.
Yeah.
Now you might be a target. So like, that's just, but yeah, so continuing on with Tucker's comments, to his credit, he did have some surprisingly insightful comments about being a Christian and understanding that killing innocent people is always immoral, irrespective of where it is geographically. And I think this is something else that people have been really highlighting.
Forgive me, because killing people who committed no crime is immoral. It will always be immoral. And people who do it will be punished for it. And nations that endorse it will be punished for it. That's a fact. And you are seeing now a very intense effort to convince you otherwise. Oh, it's fine. They deserved it. Really, do their children deserve it? If a man commits a crime, do we kill his kids? I don't care if it's in Minneapolis or Gaza City. No, we don't. And if we do accidentally, we say, I am so sorry that we murdered someone who did nothing wrong, because it is murder.
Listen, I was a little shocked that he actually even mentioned Gaza. I know it's performative. I know that, but it was interesting to see that it's not only him. Apparently, I did a little digging, and it's a good amount of people on the right have started to call out what's happening in Gaza and to acknowledge that it is a genocide, and to acknowledge that the U.S. is funding and sending so much money when we have all these different issues here, but they're helping to fund this war that is generally understood in the global sphere that this is a genocide. And there are more people on the right coming out. So this is actually one of the other topics that's causing a rift in the Republican Party.
I just have my issues with people who, threw gas on the fire and then are oh my gosh, how are we going to put it out? I cannot. That's why I don't want Tucker Carlson anywhere near this. Because I don't, even if your comments are genuine and this is what we need to do, I don't fucking care from you because you created this. You went on every night painting Muslim people as terrorists, or during 9/11. Okay, these people, what a lot of people seem to, it's a little history, but Tucker Carlson, Stephen Miller, all these people made their mark after 9/11 demonizing Muslims. Okay, if we're at a place right now in this country where we have absolutely no sympathy, well, not me, but a lot of people in this country have absolutely no sympathy for Muslim people or people of those kinds of backgrounds. Tucker Carlson played a role in desensitizing people and taking away Muslim people and people from like those regions of the world, taking away their humanity. And now that they're being bombarded and starved, now like it's immoral. Your words were immoral the second you started this career, you piece of shit. So I'm sorry that I cannot even give you the second of, oh, you said something so right. Yeah, you did. Where was this 20 years ago?
Oh, to clarify,
No,
I wasn't. No. I wasn't
I know
trying.
you're not at all.
No, I know. And I appreciate that. And also, I'm just clarifying for everybody else. I'm not trying to give him his flowers in the slightest. No, I brought this up to show that this is another rift that is existing
It's a
in
very
this
real rift,
party.
yeah.
And that's what's important, right?
And can we use it against them now?
Correct, because it's great. Finally, you guys, some of you are starting to be humans and just acknowledge and have empathy and develop
And realize
empathy
that
in middle age,
pure
apparently.
hatred and evil is not the way to live your life.
Correct, right. So, okay, fine. Maybe you're at that point, but
Right.
no, yeah, it's more of a, hey, this is a rift in this party. I'm glad it's been created, rightfully so. It took way too long for y'all to start acknowledging this, but it's more of this is potentially helpful, potentially a good thing.
And look, anytime anybody can step away from an ideology, I respect it and I appreciate,
if
the
it's
change.
actually true.
But I cannot have you leading the movements.
And also, it can't come without a level of accountability of this is horrendous, blah, blah, and for my part in it,
Yeah,
But,
exactly.
yeah. So moving on to another clip. Because of all this infighting, we had the vice president say this.
I didn't bring a list of conservatives to denounce or to deplatform, and I don't really care if some people out there, I'm sure we'll have the fake news media, denounce me after this speech. But let me just say, the best way to honor Charlie is that none of us here should be doing something after Charlie's death that he himself refused to do in life. He invited all of us here. Charlie invited all of us here for a reason, because he believed that each of us, all of us, had something worth saying, and he trusted all of you to make your own judgment.
Whenever I see a white man who's a pilot, I just hope he went to a good school. I'll be real with you. Whenever I see a white man walking down the street, I first think Ku Klux Klan member, and then I cross the street, because I do not trust any white man in this world ever. And I'm just living how Charlie lived, always speak your mind, always say what you want. This is how Charlie lives. So, white terrorists are out there every fucking day, and we got to watch out with these white terrorists.
So that's, again, not why I pulled this up.
Because this is the hypocrisy of the people.
Yeah, I agree. The reason why I'm pulling it up is,
Yeah.
again, to highlight that he wouldn't be coming out and spreading a message of unity if there weren't real cracks in this party.
I know.
If there weren't an issue to address, and because you're essentially airing out your dirty laundry by being the vice president and being like, hey, y'all need to calm the hell down if we're actually honoring this guy. Learn how to act. That's what he's like.
Oh, that's funny.
That's what he's
this is
doing.
supposed to be like his second memorial kind of thing.
Correct. And
they're eulogizing this dude like every 2 months.
Yeah, because again, he's being treated like a martyr intentionally. This was a podcaster.
In February, when Bad Bunny performed at Super Bowl, they're gonna have Coachella 2, like the
Oh,
turning
and
point in Charlie's name to Bad Bunny's anti-Super Bowl. Watch, it's gonna be another Charlie Kirk thing.
Well, yeah, they're having their like halftime show.
I heard that they said they were going to. I don't know how much they've actually moved forward.
I think that's when I was like looking through their website, I think I saw something about that that might be happening.
Wow, just every 2 months, guys. Every 2 months.
I don't want to watch that to make a Vital Questions episode about that.
I don't care to watch that. I'm gonna watch the Super Bowl. We're gonna talk about Bad Bunny.
Oh no, I know. I want it on record that I'm not watching that. So you're not like, hey, let's do. No, absolutely not. I don't want to watch what Carrie Underwood sell out again. I'm good.
Ugh.
Or maybe we'd have our next clip up. Probably one of the most heartbreaking and shocking speakers at AmericaFest. What is it? Maga Minaj? Let's listen to the first couple of what the hell moments from the event. This is a clip that was brought to you by Newsweek. So let's just pull that up.
I have the utmost respect and admiration for our president. He has, I don't know if he even knows this, but he's given so many people hope that there's a chance to beat the bad guys and to win and to do it with your head held high and your integrity intact. This administration is full of people with heart and soul. And they make me proud of them.
And that's just Stephen Miller, who keeps kids in the basement and souls in a bottle. Like
what is she even saying?
My God.
And also, girl, he ain't even your president. You aren't a U.S. citizen. That's not your president.
That's one thing I was shocked about. I didn't know Nicki Minaj was not a U.S. citizen.
She's a citizen of Trinidad. That's your president. The president of Trinidad. That's your president.
You've never been able to vote for Trump.
It's not
and
Trump.
She's out here rocking for him hard.
For the party, the political party that is entirely against immigrant. You have a whole immigrant up there. A whole black woman immigrant up there. And we don't see how ridiculous this all is.
Damn, Nikki.
And this don't seem to agree with her past comments about this administration or the people in it. So let's just look at another clip.
Barack needed a Michelle, bitch, and Bill needed a motherfucking Hillary, bitch. You better pray to God you don't get stuck with a motherfucking Melania. You niggas want brainless bitches?
You called. Let's make sure. You called the first lady of the United States a brainless bitch. Just listen.
I see why people are heartbroken. I know Nikki did that. Damn, that Nikki. Where's that Nikki?
She's dead and gone, apparently. So not only that, but she's also been hypercritical of Trump back in the day when she had a soul. So looking at a CNN article entitled "How Nicki Minaj Went from Trump Critic to the President's Biggest Fan," dated December 22nd, 2025. Reading from the article, the highlight here. Minaj, who was born Onika Tanya Mirage in Trinidad and Tobago in December 1982, has been open about coming to the United States as an undocumented child. In an emotional social media post in 2018, she called out the separation of families at the border during Trump's first administration. Quote, "I came to this country as an illegal immigrant. I can't imagine the horror of being in a strange place and having my parents stripped away from me at the age of 5, she reportedly wrote in the caption of a photo showing young children separated from their parents at the border being detained. Minaj deactivated her main Instagram account in October 2025. She's actually deactivated it again ever since because of the backlash from this. Sorry, not reading that from this article, but just throwing it in there. Reading again from the article, quote, "This is so scary to me. Please stop this," she wrote. Quote, "Can you try to imagine the terror and panic these kids feel right now, not knowing if their parents are dead or alive, if they'll ever see them again?"
Nikki, it is 10 times worse than when you wrote this back in 20, what? It said 20...
sorry.
2016,
2018.
2018.
Yeah.
And I didn't know you were you were an undocumented child, that you're the child of immigrants, that you came here
and you had these opportunities,
and you're still not a U.S. citizen. You've had all these opportunities, and you up there at a Turning Point event supporting a man who wants to deport you, Nikki.
Yeah.
Let alone your fans and the people who rock with you,
the people who created you,
man. Some people will sell out their own mama for $1.
So, and here comes the other point. So there's been a lot of speculation. Why the hell did she do this, right? Like, this is clearly night and day. This is so antithetical to who you are, your entire brand. You are from Trinidad and Tobago, and you grew up in fucking Southside Jamaica, Queens. I knew that because I spent a good amount of time in Southside Jamaica, Queens. I went to high school in Southside Jamaica, Queens. So you do not come from that to be out here parading around for white supremacists. What the hell are you doing?
Yo, Southside Jamaica, Queens is embarrassed.
No, but truly. Like, truly.
And so is the surrounding areas, Woodhaven, Jamaica.
So there's been a lot of speculation online, which I'm sure at this point everyone's seen. And one of which, in terms of why she did this, relates to a default judgment that she and her husband have from a court case they lost. Pulling up details from a Rolling Stone article entitled "Judge Plans to Force Sale of Nicki Minaj's $20 million mansion to Pay Security Guards Judgment," dated November 24, 2025. I'm just going to summarize from the article. So basically, if you weren't aware, back in 2019, her sex offender husband, named Kenneth Petty, punched a security guard and fractured his jaw. The altercation allegedly started because Nicki Minaj first threw her shoe at the security guard while he was trying to intervene between her and a female security guard she was arguing with. The guard was allegedly trying to de-escalate the situation, but then Nicki's husband punched him after she threw the shoe. The guy had to get reconstructive surgery on his jaw. The security guard sued and won. The judge awarded him $500,000, which Nicki Minaj and her husband still have not paid and have since defaulted on. The judge then said, since they didn't pay, the court will force Nicki Minaj and her husband to sell their $20 million home in Hidden Hills, California, to pay for the damages. So there is speculation that she's doing all this parading around at AmericaFest to get help from the administration with this case so she doesn't lose her house. And also maybe she'll get a pardon for her husband to clear his record. For those who didn't know, Kenneth Petty previously served prison time for attempted rape of a then 16-year-old girl in California. He was also later arrested again for failing to register as a sex offender when he moved to California. So the thought is that this has caused speculation as to California and her recent comments about Gavin Newsom. So if you haven't been following her social media, you may have noticed that she recently had came out with a bunch of comments about Gavin Newsom. But at the event, she also actually read some of these out because God knows why. She was given the stage and prompted to do so. So let's watch that.
One more.
Why not? Imagine being the guy running on wanting to see trans kids. Haha, not even a trans adult would run on that. Normal adults wake up and think they want to see healthy, safe, happy kids. Not Gav, the Gav nuts. Gav not in, Gav out. Send in the next guy, I'm bored.
Right, so she really thought she did something with that, which as a former rapper, because I guess she can't rap anymore because I don't know what the hell that was. That was trash. Like that was just at your rap skills, girl. What the fuck? You thought you did something? I mean, she was looking at the crowd like, Gav nuts. Girl, let your retired voices.
Gav in, Gav out. Gav now, Gav later. What?
Like, yo. And they really out there clapping like she did something.
I'm telling you, when you get full racist, you lose your skills. There is a level of racism that once you hit it, you go, why can't I rap anymore? Because you're full of racists now.
Right, exactly.
Racists can't fully rap.
All the blackness has left your body, and with all that talent, and now you've been absorbed. You have white supremacy. White supremacists aren't talented.
White supremacists aren't talented.
No, they're just full of hate.
Yeah,
that's it. That's
there is no way to be black. You can be black however you want, but when you start to be a white supremacist,
you lose your talent.
Yeah, that's what happens. That's what we're saying.
So she actually read a couple of different tweets that she had.
Gav on, Gav out.
It was so ridiculous.
Sorry.
But the reason why I picked that clip, because she actually had a couple of other ones calling him, I don't know, just dumb. It was equally as stupid. But it was also dumb because it's not accurate. Like, not to point out the obvious, but this is weird because Newsom actually hasn't been a strong advocate for the trans community recently. And that's been one of the biggest criticisms against him. But yeah, you know, Nikki, you showed off, you know, do your thing, whatever, 21. So just, for example, reading from an LA Times article entitled Newsom styling himself as a transgender rights ally, vetoes health bill advocate supported. This is dated October 17, 2025. Reading through the article and the LA Times summary of it, Governor Gavin Newsom vetoed a bill requiring 12-month hormone therapy covering transgender patients, citing healthcare costs. The veto comes as Newsom positions himself as more centrist on trans issues, having called trans athletes in women's sports deeply unfair. LGBTQ plus advocates say the move could further damage Newsom's credibility with their coalition as he eyes a potential presidential run, which is very true. But it's also a sign of how stupid freaking the right side is, and now MAGA Minaj, because you can't even do your research right because he's not out here.
No.
If anything, he's unfortunately not supporting trans rights and not supporting LGBTQ rights.
No. His first episode of his podcast, the first thing he did was essentially throw the trans community under the bus.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why we're upset with Gavin Newsom. Yeah. She doesn't, again, Nikki,
and she's like, Gabby, shut up. You're not, like, your jokes, they're not funny and they're not even accurate. So, like, you're wasting time.
And it's funny, like, that evil voice when it was like up against like MAGA was so fun and like that. But now when it's just evil, it's like, yo, you sound evil. Like, evil with evil is just evil.
She just sounds dumb as hell. Ugh. So the other speculation as to why she might be doing all of this is relating to her brother. Looking at this BBC article from January 28th, 2020, entitled Nicki Minaj's brother sentenced to 25 years of child rape. Jelani Mirage was convicted of predatory sexual assault and child endangerment for raping an 11-year-old girl. He is currently serving a 25-year to life sentence. Yeah, no wonder she went to the right. Because you want to be with other predators, because that's clearly what you're comfortable around, bro. What, are you kidding me?
That's
Like-
the most troubling thing that's been happening between the Epstein
Jesus
files,
Christ.
Turning Point being in high schools and colleges, Nicki Minaj joining. It seems like it's. I'm sorry, man. If you have raped or sexually assaulted a child, this is your party.
Yeah.
This is the party that'll accept you.
That's why you feel comfortable advocating and calling Trump a great person and all this stuff, even though his name is all over the Epstein files. And at this point, if you try to deny that, that's BS.
Yeah. Look, I understand that, like, we have a thing in this country where, like, assault on kids and women go unreported or don't get the follow-ups, investigation that they should. And I always knew that was a problem. A lot of those rape kits are just sitting there not tested.
Yeah.
Now I understand. Now I'm feeling this is a calculated,
Mhm.
orchestrated system to let children and women just be abused.
Yeah.
Just be abused.
But it goes from and I know we've had different conversations about this, right? Because as a straight man, you live the world differently than I do as a straight woman. And yeah, this comes from even when you hear words like when you talk to a young girl and say, "Oh, you can't wear certain clothing because so and so is coming around." First of all, so and so shouldn't be coming to your house if the concern is that. Secondly, why aren't we having more conversations with men and boys about, hey, you shouldn't hypersexualize women? Hey,
why are you
understand what
making my
consent
daughter
is.
feel uncomfortable because of what she's wearing?
Correct. Hey, why? Like it's an entire cultural issue in terms of how this is allowed to happen and how we have people like that. So
But it's just so much in your face with the
Oh,
party
yeah.
and Nicki Minaj
And Diddy,
Turning
like, you
Point
don't even-
and Diddy and
There's-
everybody. And it's
yeah.
like, oh my God,
Mhm.
there is nobody out there who genuinely wants to create music to, like, for the arts, who genuinely wants to go
No,
into
there's not
but no, but
nobody.
like, but it seems like the people who make it. Why does this keep doing this? I'm sorry. If you're at home, you're gonna see the damn
tech
camera keeps
issues.
zooming in on me all weird. But why does that keep happening? I mean, sorry. Let's just go on to the next thing because this is really bothering me.
Okay, it's okay. But yes, no. So I think people had heard rumblings about who her brother was and all that, but that's the other theory, that she's hoping to be in the good graces of this administration to get a pardon for her brother, because as we've seen, this administration just keeps giving pardons left and right for anyone who's besties with the president. Let's look at another pretty hilarious moment from the event.
You have amazing role models like our handsome, dashing president. And you have amazing role models like the assassin J.D. Vance, our vice president. And when I say that,
trust me, there's nothing new under the sun that I have not heard, so you're fine. Yes, we did. I love you.
The way she knew she messed up, though, the way she was like, oof, when she was like, yep, that's you. That's what you said.
I didn't realize. Look, I understand that what it was that she felt uncomfortable using the word assassin when her husband was assassinated. Big air quotes if you're listening to the
And then
podcast,
also-
watch it on YouTube.
Right. And to call the vice president an assassin.
Yeah. When I first heard that, though, I thought that it was once again bringing up the fact that there are rumors that she was somehow involved with her husband killing. So I thought that Nikki was like putting out a conspiracy theory that J.D. Vance was part of the assassination.
No, that
team.
was she was just essentially trying to give him
Freudian slip. Yeah.
It was it's meant to be like a compliment, like, oh, he's a killer.
He's a killer. Yeah.
Yeah, Nikki, you can't speak like that there.
Yeah.
Guess what? You can't call people assassins. They don't think that that's a good thing.
My stomach turned when she said handsome, sexy president.
That's all like, ugh, gross.
I was like, gross.
Ugh.
Damn, you really want that pardon, don't you?
Girl, because So her viral comments did not end there because she went head first into conservative gender roles and attacking the trans community. She hinted at that with the Gavin Newsom comments, obviously. But let's take a look at this clip that was pulled by Pink News on Instagram. Sharing here.
Boys, be boys. Amen. Be boys. It's okay. Be boys. It's nothing wrong with being a boy. How about that? Amen. How powerful is that? How profound is that? Amen. Boys will be boys, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I'm sorry, but what kind of boys are you hanging around with? The ones that assault women?
Correct.
The one that assault people? The ones
Correct.
that no, this is you're disgusting, Nikki. I'm sorry. I'm gonna say straight up, this is dangerous. This is the kind of bullshit that you let young boys become violent.
So there's a lot. Okay, so first, again, no one is asking any boy to think that there's anything wrong with them being a boy. Again, the whole comment of like, oh, you don't have to apologize for being white. It's okay to be a boy. No one is saying any of those things.
What they're saying is you could only be one type of boy, which is a violent white boy.
No,
that's
but
all you can be.
They're also trying to hint at the trans community and also being like, you can be a boy, you don't have to be a girl, and blah, blah, whatever. Like all that BS, right? But there is nothing wrong with people that, in the same way that there's nothing wrong with being a boy, there's nothing wrong with people that don't identify as a boy. Why does that affect you? I don't understand why why people are so bothered by these ideologies. Because if you're worried about your kid being affected by that so much, guaranteed you've spewed enough hate into their mind that they're not going to be affected. They've already probably had their biases because of your BS. So you don't have to worry about that actually, because they're already hateful, probably because they're your kid. If you have all these wild conservative, you're fine.
What's amazing is that literally Nicki Minaj got 2 men in her life who have sexually assaulted people. Meanwhile, I bet you she can't find a trans person who has done that. You know what I mean? She's more concerned about a trans person than she is the actual dudes in her fucking house.
Well, so there's that. There's just a lot, right? So for example, if you didn't know, the LGBTQ plus community has made up a huge amount of what is known as the Barbs, i.e. Nicki's fans. So as we're seeing from this Glamour magazine article entitled Why Barbs and the LGBTQIA plus community have given up on Nicki Minaj, dated December 23rd, 2025, Nicki has been a staple in the community for a while. She's been such a staple, actually, that she was even a guest host on RuPaul's Drag Race. You clearly weren't having any issues with trans people when you were sitting next to them, hanging out with them, when they were your fans, when they were out here supporting you on a regular basis. This is just a couple of pictures from her time there.
I didn't realize how much this is a gut punch for people. Because for me, like, I don't idolize celebrities like that. I don't follow celebrities like that. So when this, like, I mean, I follow Bad Bunny so much that if I found out Bad Bunny tomorrow was at like, you know, at the Trump rally, I would be devastated.
But that's what it is, right? Like, as
I would be devastated.
She used to be one of my favorite rappers back in the day. And because she came, in my head, she came from Queens. No, she came from, I knew she was from Trinidad, but repped Queens really hard.
Immigrant kids, man. Somebody drops in Queens, comes up, that makes you feel special.
And it felt good energy and all that. But yeah, and the whole boys will be boys language, as you mentioned.
Dude.
I understand. Sorry, I'm like all over the place. The boys will be boys language, as we know, is this party's one of their favorite freaking phrases, because we know that's the ideology that came out when Trump's tape came out saying you can grab women by the you know what and they won't do anything. As this Time magazine article reminds us, even Melania was basically saying boys will be boys, as she called that leaked tape just, quote, boy talk. You remember that a lot of people called it locker room talk to justify the comments, as if joking about sexual assault is okay so long as it's between boys or in a locker room.
Wow, I am an oblivious man.
I have more stuff. So if you remember, just this past October also, the whole boys will be boys concept was used by the US President J.D. Vance to justify the hateful, racist, sexist comments in a Young Republicans group chat. To be clear, most of the men, if not all of them, I think, were in their 20s and the 30s. Not boys at all. And if you want a reminder, you can check out this Politico article entitled Vance Downplays Group Chat Messages. Quote, kids do stupid things, especially young boys. This is where the whole boys will be boys concept gets us. And we've seen it from this political party time and time again. So Nicki Minaj, once again, is just a parrot spewing out the same BS that this party puts out. So now hopefully her hopeful former friends recognize that anything this woman says now, she is just a parrot for this party. And it's actually heartbreaking to see.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
The boys will be boys.
So to add more insult to injury, let's watch another clip where she said probably one of the, I don't know, it was all crazy, but let's just check this out.
I've performed for huge crowds all around the world. And no matter how many songs I do on that stage, it didn't mean as much as this.
What?
Because this is a direct link for younger people. This is a direct link between young people and God.
Right.
So even Nicki Minaj understands the power of Turning Point.
Go ahead, because I don't. Go ahead. Where are you going with that?
Because she's saying that this is more influential, more powerful, more stuff like that. She understands that, yes, she's Nicki Minaj and she's performed around the country or whatever, but that Turning Point has more power as Turning Point that she has as Nicki Minaj.
That's so interesting. For me, it was more the biggest slap in the face that an artist can ever have on their fans, and being like, this conservative event means more to me than any special moment you've ever felt with me. Because as a former fan of her, that's exactly what the fuck I felt. How dare you? How dare you insult all of your fans? The people that have probably had moments where they wanted to fucking kill themselves because that's how impactful music is, and you might have saved their fucking life. That moment didn't mean shit, Nicki fan. All these different moments that you've had with her didn't mean shit, Nicki fan. You know what means a lot to her? Sitting next to Erica Kirk and parading herself around for white supremacists.
Yeah,
That's what means a lot to her.
That means
so for the people that are online, they're like, I'm still a Nicki fan until I die. No one can tell me what to do. She just told you herself that she doesn't give a fuck about you.
Yeah.
So I hope that resonates.
Yeah.
Sorry, y'all know I don't curse a lot,
man,
but
that's deep. That's deep. And, you know, there's one of those things where I believe two things could be true at the same time. One, she could be saying, fuck all my fans. I'd rather be here with all y'all. But also, I believe it could be her understanding, damn, a Turning Point event can change more minds and culturally does more than a Nicki Minaj concert.
Sure. Let me show you why I think I'm a little more right.
Because I know that you are getting a lot of backlash from your own industry. What is your reaction to that?
I didn't notice.
Amen. I feel the same way.
So if you couldn't hear it, she said, I've been hearing, you're getting a lot of backlash from your industry. How do you feel about that? And she goes, I didn't notice. Nicki Minaj don't care about you.
No, she don't care about you. You're right.
And whether it's because she genuinely does not care because of the many other reasons that she's possibly doing this, or whether, to your point, she understands that Turning Point seems to be more powerful and maybe she's like, well, everything's going that way, so let me go to the right too to potentially be safe. Whatever the hell the reason is, for anyone that still stands behind her, you're insane. You're insane. Because it doesn't matter what the reason is at this point.
And what the problem is also, I think somebody mentioned this also, like, in order for you to become a celebrity to that level, you have to understand how to play people.
Yeah.
And a lot of these people know how to play us. Honestly, a lot of these celebrities know how to play the game. Nicki Minaj probably never cared about trans people, never cared really about anything. She just understood there was a time where talking about these issues was more beneficial for your career. Standing up for these kinds of people had differentiated you. And now, because we live in this world where some of them believe like MAGA is going to be in charge forever, whatever, they're coming out going like, this is who I've always been. This is not surprising to me. I don't know. It just, when people come out, I'm like, this is who you always been.
Well, that's what's funny, because she said all of that. And if she was loud and proud and actually standing behind that energy, then why did she delete her Instagram account again? So she apparently lost 10 million followers. We're looking at a New York Post article entitled Nicki Minaj deletes Instagram account after appearing with Erica Kirk at TP USA event. This dated December 24, 2025. And towards the bottom, it says Minaj lost nearly 10 million followers after speaking on stage with Erica Kirk, the widow of political activist Charlie Kirk.
That's crazy.
Not crazy at all.
10 million followers.
She should have lost everybody. The fact that it was only 10 million is crazy.
That's gotta be one of the most embarrassing thing ever. It's like, I'll be real with you. Like, if you go online and you lost 10 million followers, That's huge.
Oh, totally. But again, the number was too small to me. She should have lost her. The thing should have self-combusted with everyone just leaving her. The fact that it didn't is wild to me. And what's even
I'm sorry, an Instagram account has never actually caught on fire before.
it should have, with everyone like, oh my God, we never had so many people unfollow someone so instantly.
Hilarious.
It should have. What is even more hysterical is just let's take a look at this clip really quick.
Let's roll it.
Right now, Black culture is being held captive by influences, songs,
Which
and role models.
influences?
I mean, Nicki Minaj, Cardi B.
Okay, Nicki Minaj is causing dads to leave the home.
Hold on a second. I don't think that's a good role model for 18-year-old Black girls. I don't.
Yeah, that's what your man thinks about you, Nikki. Just friendly reminder. You ain't shit. You ain't shit to these people. You were just there to be their Black friend. In case you didn't realize that.
Friend is a stretch. A token. That's why we have to use the word token.
Oh, no, I know. I said joking. If she ain't really friends with them. So, yes, although, no.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I keep wanting to help you.
We literally talked about this with the tech. So, although, yes, going through these clips is fun and we love seeing the mess that the Republican Party is making, especially when we call them out on their lies, right? That's always great. But we have to remember that the Republican Party and Turning Point are extremely well funded and well followed. So we have to take this seriously, because in the same way that a lot of people did not believe that Project 2025 was real, and now it's reportedly 40 to 60% complete, according to certain reports, they've already been working on Project 2026, which some people are basically describing as Gilead from The Handmaid's Tale for women. So feel free to check out this Axios article entitled Project 2025 Architects Lay Out 2026 Policy Vision, dated December 9th, 2025, to get a breakdown. But they have momentum. This isn't stopping anytime soon unless we all get together and figure it out. So this is a call to the Democratic Party. This is a call to everyone. I know we saw a lot of funny clips from that event, but this is real.
Yeah. And yeah, this is a good point to kind of start closing it out on that. This event, we wanted to recap it because, again, yeah, it was funny. It was funny. It was great to make fun of. There was so many ridiculous clips. I think they brought Nicki Minaj out to actually distract from what the actual event was, which is to show like, hey, even in the death of Charlie Kirk, we're still together. We're still united. We have even more funding. We're expanding. We've come back larger than ever. We have real celebrities now. We are more powerful as an organization after after Charlie was dead than anything else. It's so weird. You know what I mean? So yeah, so these people, this event was them showing we good.
Yeah.
I mean, we have some infighting.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, all of those people will vote for the Republican candidate come that day. And that's what people have to remember. Just because you see some infighting does not mean it's the same thing as Democrats, unfortunately.
So just understand who you are up against.
Yeah.
And the machine that you're up against.
Right.
And I know I sound like a broken record, but I ask anyone, if you can, support journalists, independent journalists specifically. Yeah, we're talking about us.
Yeah.
If you see our work, share our work, repost our work, anything, even if you think it's me liking something of theirs or resharing or restacking, whatever, what does it mean? These people have a giant machine behind them, pushing every single piece of misinformation or every piece of propaganda.
Yeah.
You are essentially watching WWE with these people at every event. And they have a machine behind them. They have a story behind them. They have a narrative. They have the clips and the editors and everybody ready. And we can't even get someone to please sign up for our Substack.
Well, we have some.
No, but what I'm saying
people,
is that you need to understand that you also have a part in this, even if you feel like you don't.
Everyone does.
$5, a restack, a like,
a share. Share to your story.
Helps combat everything they're doing.
Yeah, and that's the only way.
And there are more of us than there.
Exactly.
There are them.
Yeah, but they just have more money right now.
Yeah.
And the only way we can combat that is by building community, by sharing information that you've confirmed yourself. Like, listen, again, we're very big on, you don't have to take our word for it. Please feel free to look things up. That's why we share the articles. That's why you keep hearing me read out everything if you're listening, or hopefully you're also watching and you see the articles we're pulling up. just as a source of information, but please also look it up yourself because we want to encourage that now more than ever.
Thinking for everyone.
Exactly.
We don't want to do it thinking for you. We present you things, but we want you to go beyond what we present you.
Exactly.
Something they don't want you to do.
Yeah.
Some Turning Point don't want you to do.
Yeah.
But Vital Questions wants you to do. They want, it's in our name. Ask the vital questions.
Exactly. So this is going to be our final episode for the year. We are planning on doing some work, figuring out some tech things, figuring out ways to improve our podcast, improve our systems,
Which we
improve our
always
processes.
take those suggestions. If you yourself are good with tech and you know how to run stuff, you know, hey, maybe you guys should try this. Have you tried this? We take any suggestions to try and improve the community and the space that you come to every day.
Yeah, exactly. But remember, it's a 2-person team and we're a little broke. So, so remember that in terms of the suggestions, and also remember that in terms of extra funds if you have them. Yeah. So thank you for listening. Hopefully, again, it wasn't all doom and gloom. It was very fun to make fun of them. But again, let's not let down our guard. Let's not just assume that all the infighting will save us in the long run, or all their terrible actions will translate. We have to stay steady in this process.
And we want to thank you for sticking with us in 2025. You know, it was a roller coaster of a year, but I think putting this podcast together every week and being able to not let the shock and awe, which is how we started the season, the shock and awe of it all, like bog us down or confuse us, and actually doing a weekly episode, bi-weekly at times, you know, that allowed us to research and for us to have long conversations about topics, made it more tangible and made it realize that the chaos was the point.
Right, exactly. So let's
slow it down.
Yeah, let's trek through it. Let's make sure that we're paying attention to the stories that matter. We don't need to focus on Nicki Minaj anymore. We know that she's part of MAGA. Cool, keep it pushing. Let's focus on what the administration is doing. Let's focus on supporting independent journalists that bring you good information, because we've seen as time goes on, more and more mainstream media is getting bought out or being sold out. So again, all we have is really each other, y'all. So
so remember, stay looking out for each other, stay sharing the right information, check your facts, check your sources, and we'll check you.
Check yourself.
Check yourself. Always check in with yourself.
Oh, I was thinking more check yourself before you wreck yourself, but
and
you're
also,
like, check in with yourself.
Also, chickadee check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Right.
If Nicki Minaj has touched you, nothing else.
Anyways, thanks for listening.
And we'll check y'all next year. Say goodbye till next year, like Cohost.
Goodbye until next year. Have a great new year.
Adios. Feliz año nuevo.
Feliz año nuevo. Bye.